Neus lives in Spain. She's a learnability advisor. What does it mean exactly? Well, in a nutshell, she accompanies people and businesses along the change. It's a learning change, so through coaching and new methodologies, she goes through steps of de-learning and relearning. So she teaches how to be open to receive a new learning methodology and have a growth mindset, which includes learning to fail. There you go. Enjoy the interview. So here we start. Neus, thank you. Such a short notice. Thank you for coming to my podcast. I have a very special guest because what you do is something I didn't know it existed. And so you're a learnability advisor, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And what does it mean, Neus, exactly?
Okay, so first of all, thank you for the invitation. It's really glad being here talking to you. What is it about? It's helping people to learning by in a learning by doing way, because the world is changing so fast, and all the needs that companies have to be solved so quickly that people have to change the knowledge they have and the way they learn, and they have to learn new things very quickly. And the way we have learned to learn doesn't help to learn so quickly. So basically what I do is helping people to learn in a quick way, focusing on solving the need, no, going from a know-it-all to a learn-it-all profile, basically. Yeah.
Okay, so what does it mean in terms in practical terms? So, because you were talking about businesses and companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So initially, I actually thought that it's about learning from when you're at school,
Mm-hmm.
teaching different methods to learn better while you're during your educational years. Is it more focused on business? So when you're already professional?
Yeah, learnability is more the ability to learn in order more to be employable. But the thing is that because the way the companies work and learn is changing so fast, also the universities and schools have to change the way they teach, mainly how they teach how to learn, because these students will go to the companies then in a few years, and they will have to have the practice to learn quickly, because how we have learned is in a more theoretical way, and sometimes the practical way is not so much developed. So when then students go to a company, students, and even if you have been working for 15, 20 years, then when they ask you to change or to acquire new knowledge, what it happens is that it's, wait, I have to study, because otherwise I won't know that. And we have to change that way of learning, because the world doesn't have time to wait for us to learn. So we have to learn how to learn quickly while doing the project, and learning how to fail, how to learn that we can maybe not know something, but learn how to acquire this knowledge, and that it's not only a theoretical point of view, but also a practical point of view. I mean, we have to know how to use what we know, so it changes the way, the concept of learning, basically.
Can you make a concrete example with, let's say, a client you have or you had? Like he comes to you or she comes to you and wants to learn how to learn. So what do you teach?
Usually I help companies more in a coaching process, no, because it's the new learning way. It's not only a method to say do this and this and this, but when for instance, somebody or there's a team working in a company, and the company has decided that they have to digitalize the company, because I mean all the companies need to introduce digital ways of working, right? So
Yeah.
when they do that, when a company gets more digital, who really gets digital is the people working there, because otherwise the company cannot be more digital. So maybe all of a sudden someone who made her job in a way, now they need to do the job in another way, or use some new software, or work in different methodology, or the processes inside the company change, or maybe they have to learn new innovation ways or methodologies that maybe they hadn't need for 10, 15, or never. They had never need to update what they really knew. So all of a sudden they are asked to innovate, to change, to know these things. And then people, the usual way to do this is, okay, so I will do a course, I will do a postgraduate, give me 1 year and I will learn how to do that. And I will be a very expert in digital marketing or in innovation and the company cannot wait for this year. So how can we upskill, what it's said, upskill or reskill? How can we upskill our teams to help them know what they have to know so we don't have to fire them and get new talent? We want to update our talent because these people are really good workers. It's only that they don't know now what we need them to know. So when you do an upskill, what you do is that you give new knowledge to people in their area. When you reskill is when you have people in an area that doesn't exist anymore because of the automation, because maybe a department has become so automated that you don't need these people there anymore, but you don't want to fire them. So what you do is reskill. You give them new skills so they can work in another department.
Okay, so and then how long does that take for you to teach them how to learn differently?
Yeah, it's a good question because it depends on what they need to learn and how motivated they are to learn. There are some people who can learn new things and learn new ways to learn very quickly. And there are some people who maybe have more stops, no, or more obstacles, and they are afraid to learn new things, or they don't want to learn in a new way because they are afraid that they won't be able to do it. So we can have processes of 5 weeks where we give them the methodology. Sometimes we help the leader to help the team. It depends because explaining how to do it is quite easy, but then doing it takes longer. So it will depend on mainly if you have a very classical industrial, company, and then all of a sudden they have to do a very digital thing, maybe it will be more difficult. But if you are in a service company quite used to innovate, it's easier to introduce changes. So
okay,
yeah, it depends. But yeah, from 5 weeks to start doing it, from 5 weeks to 5 months, I would say.
4 months. Okay, and then does this learning process involves mainly digitalization?
No. I said digital because it's the most common. I mean, most of the companies, the digitalization, what it has is that it changes everything, because when the digital, or when I say digital, I mean machines, I mean automation, because when the digital comes in, then you have new ways of communication because maybe you don't have press anymore, you have social media, and maybe the person in communication don't know social media, how to use social media because she or he was used to press and classic media, and because what I told you, that all of a sudden a department has no sense anymore because you have a machine that answers all the phone calls. So all these people that were answering the phone don't need to be there anymore unless they only answer for another kind of problems maybe, or all the digital thing changes everything in a company. And also when someone wants to start their own project or wants to look for a new job, because then you also have to know how to maybe prepare your personal branding when you are looking for a job. You have to manage social media if you have your own project. Maybe you have to know how to launch a podcast, maybe, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
everything has changed so much. The internet has changed everything, but social media has made explode everything, and plus the pandemic, the world has turned upside down. So
Upside down,
everything has
yeah.
changed completely. And I have a lot of clients, individual clients that were in a company for 20 years and they were fired because they were not able to adapt to the change. And
Mm.
and they don't know where to look for another. They are still looking for another place to get this job. And I tell them your job doesn't exist anymore. And it's very difficult to
So you need to, yeah, reinvent
yeah.
yourself,
Hmm. Yes, yes.
basically.
Hmm.
And you as a learnability consultant, so you teach, you give them the skill, like different set of skills that they have, or like,
Hmm.
or do you teach them how to look at their job from a
Yeah.
different angle?
My part is more coaching. It's a mix of teaching and coaching. I created a method that I called Lean Talent because it's from the entrepreneurial world to the
Okay.
agile world, to make things in an agile way. And I
Yeah.
adapted it to the learning environment or sector. And then what I do is an inspiring teaching to help them see how the world has changed, but instead of being afraid, to see all the opportunities that it has also. No, I mean, it has.
Mm.
So it's more like when it's in companies, I give talks, but it's more in an inspiring way. And when it's online, I have my own program, and there are a lot of information and videos, and I'm trying to inspire, motivate, and make people see that there are a lot of good things in this change. And then I share my method, which are the get to and grow, to understand that you have to first know what to learn and then how to apply it and then how to think about it. It's a iteration process that never ends, and to make them understand that the learning process nowadays doesn't end. It's not like before that we studied and then we finished and we start working and we could not study anymore. Now it's not possible to do that. You have to keep updated constantly.
It's a
So
continuous,
yeah.
yeah,
So I
learning
explain
process.
this and I give them what I developed a learning canvas, which visually you can develop your own learning plan and know how to use it constantly. And it's like having a tool for you to learn constantly, but with focus, because a lot of people and a lot of my clients or students, they are really avid learners. They like to learn, but they learn and learn and learn, but they don't do nothing with all this information. So sometimes what I have to say is stop learning. What are you going to do with this and this and this course? No, I need more courses because I don't know enough yet. So my job there is to say, stop taking more courses and start applying what you already know, because you know more than what you think. So there are a lot of emotional things there. More
Yeah.
than, yeah, it's not only cognitive, it's more emotional. Yeah.
When you are a learnability advisor, how do you become a learnability advisor? Do you have a background that's similar to other professions? Did you just invent your
Yeah.
own job, or is
Basically.
it?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
wh-
I invented
what did
it.
you study? What did you study in your, educational years?
What I studied has nothing to do originally, but it, what Steve Jobs said, that you connect the dots when you look backwards. I studied advertising and communication, and I specialized in strategy and yeah, in communication strategy. I started my own company when I was like very young, 25, after I had been working for 5 years in advertising agencies. But I started in digital world very soon when it all started, like in
Yeah.
1998. So then I started my own digital advertising agency. So I started my entrepreneurial process, and I loved it, and I loved to have my own project. And so then I started like flowing with what I thought that I could do better. So then I specialized more in branding, which is part of advertising, but it's more strategic. So then combining the entrepreneurial and branding, it became for me easier to help other entrepreneurs, to advise them. From there, I started teaching in universities. At universities, I started mentoring entrepreneurs. I started working in innovation processes in companies. So all of a sudden, I just mixed all this knowledge because I realized that what I liked, I loved more from all my jobs and what I usually did was helping others to grow and also learning from different sectors. So I said, I like learning and I like helping people grow. And I realized that how I got there. So I said, I started looking for information or to studying about learning, and I found this learnability concept. And I said, this is what I like. I mean, being the ability to learn and helping people to learn, but for the professional with this agile and entrepreneurial way. And I said, okay, I know about that. I started reading a lot, and I said, okay, I can help people do that because I've been doing it for 20 years or 15 years by then. I said, okay, I will be an advisor. Sometimes I've also been learnability coach because when it's one-on-one, it's more coaching. When it's in companies, I do learnability advisor. So yeah, I invented. It's not that I want to be like this person. It's like I want to do that. So I will put a name that explains what I do about learnability, basically.
Can anybody become a learnability consultant advisor?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the thing is that, of course, I told you a quick way. I've studied a lot and I've certified as a coach and I've learned a lot about talent, cognitive, neuroscience. I've studied different things, but I studied these things because for me, learnability is what learnability is for me. Now that learnability is a concept that more or less more people uses, there's some learnability professionals that are more focused in maybe courses or for how to say, like, yeah, how more in the companies when a company has the person that works on learnability is more L&D, is learning and development, or the talent people. But what they do basically is to see what courses can offer to the employees. It's more based on how to facilitate different workshops or how to combine the hybrid courses with the presential processes or courses, how to evaluate, how to follow that someone is taking all the courses, or how to memorize better or read faster. It depends on where you want to put the focus. I decided that my part was more on the coach way to help this emotional part. But then there's some people who work on learnability, same if they are not called learnability advisor, but maybe L&D, any other chief learning officer. Maybe they focus more at the moment on cognitive part. So it depends on where you want to put the focus. You have to study or specialize in one thing or another. But of course, anyone can become L&D or learnability advisor or learnability coach if you follow your path and you prepare and you self-learn or learn or take courses or whatever, depending on what you want to do.
So you don't need to have a specific degree in order to be a coach, or let's say a learnability coach. Is it more like the clientele that you build that grants you your own job, or or like a psychologist, for instance, needs to have a psychology degree?
No, it's not like psychologists, but for instance, to be a coach, you have to have a degree It's not like psychology, but you have a certification, which I think it's important because sometimes there are a lot of coaches, but when you study coaching, you see that coaching is a very serious. No, yeah, there's a methodology that is important to follow.
And for you, what is a good profile that could follow such a career?
There's a lot of people who have studied human resources or industrial psychology, not the clinical one, but the organizational one, at least here in Spain is the way it works, the psychology degree. But you also can study business. It's where I tell you that depends on how do you want to focus on or even business marketing for an innovation, because depends if you want to focus on learning in order to innovate in the company, or you want to focus on learning to help people thrive. So you can either go from business, business marketing, or maybe from the more psychology or human resources part. I would say, maybe. But I've met a lot of people who are coming from teaching also, teaching degree, or even more technical, like how to say, like engineers that they decided all of a sudden that they wanted to change. And usually the first thing they do is, this coaching process.
Okay. And then in your experience, what is the most difficult part for you in your job? Like, what is difficult in teaching others to learn differently?
For me, it's understanding that every person has a process, that when someone doesn't want to learn, he or she won't learn, that the first part is motivating someone. So to help them find their motivation, motives, their reasons to learn. Because if the learner doesn't want to learn, I mean, it's impossible. So
it's impossible to teach. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't teach. So you have to understand his motivations, or his how do you say, his what is he afraid of, no?
So there's a lot of psychology involved,
Of course.
pedagogy.
Yeah, that's why pedagogy would be another degree to come from. And that's why the coaching, I mean, for me, the coaching degree has helped a lot. And because I mix it with the entrepreneurial and innovative, and I know I have a wide scope from all what is happening and what companies need and different options. And I am very resolutive helping people find new solutions, for instance. No, this is my approach. But someone from more pedagogy, maybe they can know how to make that someone who is not that motivated somehow learn. Maybe, it depending on the path, the approach will be different. But I think the most difficult thing is understanding what happens to the other person, and because sometimes when someone after 20 years has to learn again, he may be really afraid or
Sure. I see that our time is going fast, unfortunately. So I have to ask one last question, which is either if you want to share a story or a message to the audience, please do so.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I would say is to apply the learnability concept to their own, to understand that you can now choose what you really feel like doing, not only because you like the degree, but because you like what you will be able to do with that degree, but also thinking that it says that people who now finishes university or starts university will have like 5 or 6 or 8 professions all along their life. So don't get stressed. Decide what you prefer now and just keep learning and keep walking towards what you feel like doing in every part of your life, because you will change, you will have new interests, maybe you will have new purposes. So the important thing for me is just keep going and keep learning. And yeah,
Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much, Neus.
Okay,
It's
thank you.
been a pleasure to talk to you, and all the best for your endeavors and for your career. It's very useful and important one.
Thank you very much. Yes, bit by bit.
Today, the way we work is different. When we finish our studies, we will get into the professional world knowing that we will change jobs 3, 4, 7, 8 times during our life. So learning how to properly learn and appreciate what we already know is a key ingredient to our professional satisfaction. Thank you, Neus, for your insights. Stay tuned for more episodes.